All right, we're live. Thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to episode 1 of Liquidation Live. And I don't know if this is the name we're going to keep it with, but episode 1, we had an intro last week. It's myself and Dan from Liquidation Pros. Make sure you subscribe to his channel down below. I believe it's the first link. Subscribe and hit the bell. We'll alternate channels that'll be on channels either mine or his, but stay tuned for that. But we're going to talk tonight, basically, if you're going to get started in liquidation, what to look for, what to do, where to go, how to get it, and then what to do with it. And we're going to share with you our experiences of not only buying it, but reselling it. So, Dan, I'll turn it over to you.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us tonight. And Chris, thank you for having me on. As Chris said, I'm Dan from Liquidation Pros. I use Liquidation Pros on Instagram and on YouTube. I don't do a whole lot on Facebook. I kind of shifted everything to Instagram. So you can find me in one of those two places, or email me directly with questions, dan@liquidationpros.org. So for those who missed last week, I've been selling on eBay since I've started an eBay business in 2014 and started selling liquidation products in 2013. In just a few short years, I've sold over 10,000 items on eBay and Amazon and continue to grow pretty quickly. So I've been following a lot of people through YouTube and watching everyone's journey. And last year decided to take the leap and document a little bit more and do hangouts and some tutorials and try to teach other people that are interested in liquidation how to grow their business at a much faster rate than what I was doing prior to 2014.
Just to add on to yours, I think I started eBay in 2003. Yeah, 2003. Just casual buyer seller. I'd sell stuff around the house, sell stuff, casually go to the thrift store and sell things. I actually started on liquidation.com because my father-in-law gave me an article. Some guy had quit his job and was buying cell phone cases from liquidation.com. Now, I don't know how he quit his job and sold cell phone cases, but needless to say, I found that article and I had to find the website, found it, and I just went and started browsing the website and I just started buying things. I looked on YouTube, there was really nothing there. And I just started buying, and here I am. What about you, Dan? How'd you get started into specifically into liquidation?
So I was actually surfing Craigslist for free wooden pallets for a project I was doing around the house. And in that, as I described in last week's show, I'll kind of brief it here tonight, and you guys can go back and watch last week on Chris's channel. But basically, I was looking for just wooden pallets and came across pallets of video games, and the price was, I think, $125 a pallet. So it was too good to almost be true. End up securing that deal and built a relationship with this guy who was getting Best Buy and Toys R Us returns. And it was within 20 minutes of my house. I could go look at it, pay for it, and then pick it right up in the truck and bring it back home. So no delivery or anything like that. And what happened is he would only get so much stuff that he could sell locally. A lot of his stuff had to go overseas. And then after about 2 years, he had to start selling everything overseas because Best Buy changed their contracts. And at that point is when I started doing a lot more research online of where else I can find liquidation products, because I knew he had kind of prefaced, this is going to be the last load. The last load I got from him was 22 pallets. So that was a good bit of inventory to keep me busy for a while. But I knew at that point that I needed to find other sources. And that's how, just from doing a lot of Google searching, I found liquidation.com and started using them.
How many how many different sources? You don't have to give your source, but no, what, 5, 2, 10?
Right now, I'd say I have 5 or 6 like steady sources. Some people I get maybe once every other month. Some people will send me offers, but a lot of them I pass on, or it's not quite. A lot of times when you start building these relationships, people will liquidate stuff that isn't like a lot of times if they can sell it, they would just sell it themselves. So you want to be careful that they're not getting someone else's junk that they can't sell, that's not really selling good. So a lot of times people send you stuff and it's like, I'm gonna pass, I'll pass. And then every once in a while they send you something that's really, a good lot and you do a deal. So some people I deal with quarterly, other people I'm buying, 2 or 3 times a month.
And then, so every site is uniquely different in itself, but overall, liquidations, I want to say kind of the same, right? So you're looking at different categories, different shipping methods, and as the shows go along, guys, we're going to have different shows on shipping. We're going to have different shows on, manifested, unmanifested, what to look for. So those type of things. We're just going to touch on it here. And we comment either down below to Dan's channel, my channel, the Facebook group, Liquidation OH. Dan, do you have a Facebook group?
No, like I said, I don't do a whole lot of Facebook. Instagram and YouTube already take too much of my time away from the business. But I'll certainly chime in and help out with yours, and we can talk about the future of a potential Facebook group that we put tutorial videos in and stuff like that, whether we do it on yours or a different one. It's, this is kind of me and you we're kind of working this out as we do these shows together, so everyone can kind of not only see the process of the liquidation and how we've gotten to where we are, but also the process of growing a show together. This is totally new to me.
Oh yeah, same here. I mean, there's no other liquidation kind of how-to, right?
Not that I know of.
So when you get started, and kind of when I got started, I went out there and I searched what I liked. I liked electronics. I went out there and I searched Apple products. I searched, I forget what else I looked up. Sony, the big names. And I started learning what things to look up for, manifested items. When you first started, where did you go? What categories and what did you enjoy looking for?
Mainly when I first started, it was electronics and sporting goods is what I was going after, because those were not only things that I've sold before, but things that I enjoyed, was familiar with, like going through the process of, got excited about different stuff and learning about the new technologies with electronics or new sporting goods that were coming out. So that's kind of where I started. Since then, I've grown more into clothing, and that's mainly because it's easier for my staff to process and there's less issues. But there's, pros and cons to everything. You just got to consider, if you have help, what can you count on your help to do up to the standards that you would expect for selling it to someone. But you were mentioning phone cases earlier. One of my best buy deals that I got was 4 pallets of straight phone cases. It was, I want to say, about 10,000 phone cases. And since then, I bought several other pallets. But, a lot of people are scared to sell LifeProof or OtterBox on eBay. And when you sell thousands of them, I've never had an issue of counterfeit or someone claiming inauthentic or anything like that. And what will happen is, yes, if you jump on and sell a couple and get a bunch of negatives, eBay is going to shut you down. But when you sell hundreds and hundreds, and then someone, hold on a second, I think I lost my video. I'll work on that. But you can still hear me, right?
Yep, you're good.
When you're selling, hundreds of cases a month, that eBay's not going to, they're not going to validate any kind of inauthentic claims, because they can look at your store and say, this guy's a legit seller. So I was also targeting like OtterBox and LifeProof cases.
Yeah, I mean, I hear people having trouble with OtterBox. I've never had an issue with OtterBox.
Yeah, and they sell for pretty good money too. I mean, back then I was getting anywhere from like $20 to $40 a case.
Yep. So overall, when you're purchasing liquidation, what are some different fees when you're looking at? And this is general, right? You can have a buy it now auction, just like eBay on liquidation sites. You can have a bid auctions. What are some different fees as a buyer if you're just getting into it? What are some fees that you have to look out for?
The ones you mentioned are obviously big. Another big one's going to be shipping. How are you going to get this product to you? That's probably the biggest fee on top of what you're going to win an auction for, or any kind of dealings I have with some of my contracts that I have, is how to figure out the shipping of it, what the best deal for shipping is, and all that. I'm trying to think of the freight quote's a pretty good one. I don't know if you've tried that yet. I know you just got a couple pallets of shoes delivered, but I've used freight quote. And a lot of times the cheapest ends up being R&L carriers, but it's a highly discounted rate through freight quote. So on average, I'm paying like $250 to $300 a pallet through there, depending on where it's coming from. But a lot of the bigger players that deal in like B stock and whatnot, they're already going to have shipping figured out and included. When you log in, it'll tell you how much shipping is.
Yeah, and
It's same thing with liquidation.com, but with liquidation.com, like you did, you can arrange your own shipping, and a lot of times because they're making money off of shipping as well.
Oh yeah, they are. And I mean, there's different tips and tricks at combining auctions, getting shipping discounts. You got to understand residential delivery versus commercial, package versus pallet. I recommend, and Dan would say the same, as you're bidding, look at the specific details of the auction. It will tell you how. Big thing is how heavy is it and how many boxes is it. That's going to tell you how much it's going to get, how much it's going to be to get to you, where it's coming from, and the weight. So those are some things to look for.
Another thing to consider that's not really a fee, but it's something that I'm always looking at is the liquidators are going to tell you, and I'll give you a manifest a lot of times and tell you what the retail value is. You want to match that retail value up with the actual resale value, the average price, say on eBay, Amazon, whatever it is, whatever, depending on where you want to sell it. Because a lot of times with these places, they'll say it's $79.99, but really it's only going for 35 or 40 bucks. So you got to be careful for the overinflated retail. And just in case they're saying it's a $10,000 valued lot, that doesn't mean you're going to get $10,000 on eBay. It might only be best case scenario $6,000 or $7,000 if everything's good. So keep that in mind. And what I like to do is kind of look up a couple specific items and then get an idea of what percentage markup there is, and then just run that percentage across the entire value of the lot. And then I know, okay, if they're saying 10,000 is MSRP. I think actually, if everything's good, it's probably closer to 8,000. But then, you know, half of the items might be used. I'm going to have some loss and 10% loss in most cases. And then I'm also going to have a lot of cheaper stuff that I can't sell. So you got to, over time, you'll depend on which sites you're dealing with liquidation.com or different sellers, you'll get an idea of what percentage you need to pay based on where you're buying from.
And keep in mind too, just as when you're thrifting or buying, selling stuff around your house, when you're researching the manifest will show you every item within your lot. Don't look at just what's listed, because you can see things that are listed for 80 bucks and that's just asking price. You want to go sort and you want to go what's sold. You want to look exactly what people are getting for those items. Then to extend to Dan's point, when you're checking the manifest, I always say check the top 10% of your items. The top 10% are mostly going to be your higher price items that potentially could pay for your whole lot. And you want to make sure, depending on the condition, and we'll get into condition here soon, but depending on the condition, you want those top 10% to be able to pay and make your money back. The rest of your stuff is going to be profit. But those top 10% items, you want to see what they've sold for. And you want to take into account, if they're broken, what would they sell for? Be careful what the MSRP is based on what these companies are saying, because I've seen lots where they've had a hunting knife. It said 7-inch blade hunting knife with the brand on it. It said $79.99. Well, I go to pull that up on eBay. It's only selling for $7. Yep. So look at what your platform you're going to sell it on, how much it retails for, and look across multiple platforms, eBay, Facebook, however you're going to sell it, look for what you can get it for.
Yep, I totally agree. I was trying to think to touch on that as well. You got to be careful, especially with liquidation.com. If they can't scan the item or figure out what it is quickly, they put a generic title based on what category it is. So it'll be like, what does it normally say? Miscellaneous household or whatever it ends up being. But a lot of times they mark that at $39.99. It used to be $19.99, but they increased that. So you have to be careful for lots that have a ton of items that they don't actually know what it is and when they're scanning it in, because that could inflate the price. Now, some of those items you could get lucky and get a $100 or $200 item, but I found in most cases it's like the private label, the cheaper stuff without a box, just in a bag. And I normally try to avoid the ones where there's a high percentage of unknown, unspecified items in the lot.
Yeah, if I find a lot that has, and you'll see it on the manifest. So within each website, within bulk liquidation, I don't buy unmanifested. I always buy lots that tell me every item that's in the lot. If you click on the manifest and it says, usually it says miscellaneous or assorted consumer electronics, and it gives you a generic price. If I see a manifest with over 50% of the items that way, that's a risk. You always have to weigh your risk out with what you're going to buy. So that right there is a heavy risk. I want to say I'm going to throw all my money away. I'm going to take a chance. Now I had a fish finder that showed miscellaneous at $29.99. I sold it for 100 bucks. Now that was the plus side of it. I've had plenty of downsides where the $29.99 was a pen that someone threw in the box. So you have both sides of it.
And those lots can be good for if you're trying to fill a pallet. If you've already won 1 or 2 lots and you're trying to get the full pallet, you may want to go back and look at those, because a lot of times you can get them for the starting bid of 75 or 100 bucks, and you're only adding with the pallet 50 or 60 bucks shipping. So there's normally a couple other items in there. You're willing to take that chance because you're going to make a little bit of money off the lot, but it may not be a home run, or it may be a home run. You just never know.
Yeah. Sarah had a great question. Should you do a case or pallet when you're first starting out? When you're first starting out, I would start small. I would start at a package. And on liquidation, you go down to shipping. It will tell you category. It'll say pallet, package, or truckload. I would start with package. And for most sites, you're going to have 3 components to your liquidation purchase. You're going to have the buy price, which is strictly the price that you bid on, the price that you purchase on, or either auction or buy it now. You're going to have a buyer's premium, which is a percentage on top of that price. And then you're going to have your shipping costs. So never ignore any one of those 3 items. I can't tell you how many times people say, I purchased something and the shipping is now $500. I can't pay for it. Always check your shipping.
Yep. And going into, we have a category for stories from the past week. Was it last week or the week before that? I did an unboxing video of high-end Amazon returns. This is from one of my clients that I work with. And it was 3 boxes. I paid $1,950 for it shipped to my house, and it would claim to be over $8,000 worth of Amazon returns, but they were already pre-inspected. So there was no defects, defective stuff, or damaged items. So it's all clean inventory, ready for sale. So I paid up a little bit, and my goal was hopefully to have about I figured out to be about $6,000 worth of eBay sale value. So should be able to double my money on that. Well, if you're watching the unboxing video, I start like questioning everything that's there. It was missing an entire box of stuff. So that's one of the things with having manifested lots is you can go back and double check. And the guy I work with, we're pretty, I wouldn't say we're close friends, but we've worked together for a while. So it's not an issue. But the cool thing about the YouTube thing is I unboxed it live on YouTube. Like here's the video showing you exactly what was in there. There's basically my proof. And I had an issue with a Macy's lot where they shorted me an entire box of over $1,000 worth of inventory. And it was supposed to be 24 boxes, and I only got 23. I was able to go back to the video and watch myself unbox the 23 boxes and count them up and let them know. And they were able to confirm that there was one missing. So that's a really good thing about having the manifest lots. Outside of that, you're rolling the dice. I've done it before. I've had some wins and some losses. So as you grow, you kind of tend to stick more towards the guaranteed money. It's just not worth. Why risk it when you can get inventory you can make money on?
And AC had a question about manifested lots. So the more risk you're going to take, the less you're going to pay for it. So for example, you can buy a pallet that is completely unmanifested where they'll say, hey, this whole pallet is housewares. There's no manifest. I'll sell it to you for 300 bucks. Now you get that pallet, you could make $3,000 on it, but you took the chance on not knowing what it was on it. You will pay more as the person you buy it from or the company you buy it from does more work on it to tell you what's on it and the condition that it's in. So as you either expand or decrease the amount of work that from the person you're buying it from, it will determine how much you're going to pay for it and how much money you'll make off of it. But you can also go multiple ways on that same spectrum, and you can lose money both sides. It's a risk you take and how much risk you want to put out there.
So luckily I had that information. I'll do another unboxing of the last box, that big lot, since I did do that on YouTube. So if you guys want to go check that out, probably next week I'll be unboxing that. And then I do have a couple. I have some other stories if you want to jump into stories real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So this past week I had, actually it was yesterday, I had an eBay buyer ask me like 5 different questions about a Mophie phone charging case.
Oh,
like,
I saw that on your Instagram. You had that.
Yeah, it's a total pain. Answering them. Then he starts lowballing me. I respond with like I think I was asking around $45 for the item, and he wanted it for 30, and I think I got him up to 35 or 40. I can't remember. So he commits to it and buys it. And this is like 10 o'clock yesterday morning. And then he messages me again. I'm saying he, it could be he or she, I'm not sure. Sorry. They messaged me again and basically said, if you can't ship it today, I want the order canceled. I'm like, you kind of know when you're getting a ton of messages about one item that's pretty straightforward, described well, and pretty basic, that you're going to have issues. So should have known that was going to be a problem buyer from the get-go. But yeah, they ended up canceling the order because I couldn't get shipped before the post office closed. So no big deal there. And then I was telling you, Chris, about I had a case opened up for me about a month ago, and it was just getting ready to close because it ended actually the first of next month, so in a couple of days. But I had a buyer open a case for an item not delivered. My tracking showed that the item was delivered and received. It said, what did it say? Hand delivered to customer, something like that in the tracking. So it was definitely delivered in Florida. And at the last minute yesterday, this person calls eBay up, and the case has been open. I put the tracking information in on the case, and it's just been sitting there. So they called eBay yesterday, got the case closed in their favor, and I got a defect when my tracking shows it was delivered. So I went back and did some further research, and this item was delivered to one of those third-party shipping addresses that has 20 extra characters in the address. And I looked it up on Google Maps, and I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely a distribution center. So I called eBay, and they're like, well, unfortunately, the item was delivered to the wrong address. I'm like, how do you know that? And they're like, based on the zip code. I was like, what do you? I was like, well, where was it delivered? They were like, Miami, Florida. I'm like, okay, this is Dayton, Florida. So I pulled it up on Google Maps. I'm like, it's the same town. And as I'm on the phone with eBay, going back and forth with this, I figured out that this one shipping facility is on the intersection of 3 different zip codes out of 4. So if they came around and did like a side delivery, it literally is a different zip code than the front main address. So I ended up having to pull up Google Earth through eBay customer service, and they ended up taking the defect off. So I thought that was pretty interesting, something for you guys to keep an eye out on. There are some countries that are not covered under the eBay global shipping, and people will use these, like Russia, for instance. People will use these third-party shipping companies. They'll deliver the item in the United States to that address, and then they'll ship pallets of stuff to that country and then ship it off from there.
I personally like those because if there's a return and you offer the return, they can't ship it back for the $3 you got to that dropship site. Yep. So Delaware, Michigan, Miami, you start to recognize those states that go off-site. Don't take that and not sell to those states, but you start to learn. And if you get 0 sellers from those sites, don't be worried. Still sell your item. You're covered. So
yeah. What about you? Do you have any stories from the past week?
Stories from this week.
Oh, we did get the spring seller update. What did you think about that?
I'm good till canceled anyway. Yeah,
same here. I have really no issue.
I don't know if I forgot if you said earlier, but I work during the day. So I see how people use 30-day, refresh their listings in the search, but I don't have the time to go refresh all 1,700 listings. So good till cancel for me saves me time. I edit them if I need to, but I'm all good till cancel, free returns anyway. I don't have any issues.
Yep, same here.
So let's talk about what sites you buy from. So, and go as in depth as you want, less as you want. But I have not purchased from bulk. I've liquidation. Everyone knows I do liquidation.com. I've done, what's the one? It's now source.com. It was something else. I forget what it was.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
So it's now source.com. I forget what it was. I bought a couple boxes off there. You have to start thinking about when you're buying from these sites, where are they getting their product from? So, for example, when I bought from the one that changed their name, they were getting disposed of FBA seller items. So what that means is FBA
Blue
sells
Lots.
stuff on Amazon.
Justin's got it. It's Blue Lots.
Blue Lots, that's right. Now, this is the stuff that I bought. This is my assumption, so don't take this with a grain of salt. People were sending stuff into Amazon. When you dispose of things off Amazon, Amazon most likely will either sell it through their channels and make money on that way, and they'll dispose of it, right? And that's a return. Other sites will take that, like you think of the bigger sites, Optoro will then go through Blue Lots, etc. They'll take all that stuff and give it to you, and you can buy it on a smaller lot off of Blue Lot, Source.com, other sites. You get all that stuff. You're getting stuff that people couldn't sell. And how you're getting rid of that will determine how much it's worth to you. So for me, I bought, I think, 40 bike seats, 20 bike helmets, and this is one of the lots I purchased. Well, when you start getting these things, you start learning where these stickers come from. And I saw all these FBA stickers on them. I saw Amazon return stickers on them. I knew where they were coming from. So the channels, I'm only online channels. If you had a brick and mortar store where you're able to get source local sellers or local buyers that come in, you might be able to sell this stuff like crazy. But for my channel, my bike helmets, I can't give them away. My bike seats, I sold them all. So just be wary of where the stuff's coming from. Those three I bought from. I have not done any pallets outside of that. I've done pallets from Liquidation. I have not bought a truckload yet, but those are kind of my bread and butter is liquidation.com.
Yeah, and to touch on that, the only truckload I've gotten was through my local source, and that was me driving 2 hours to a warehouse. And luckily, he allowed me to go to the warehouse and work on the product there. So I spent 2 days up there, and I basically sub-sorted everything at the warehouse, put it in the big shipping boxes like U-Haul. Some of it stayed on pallets, but I just rented a U-Haul truck and brought it back home that way and processed it in smaller batches. That wouldn't even really be considered buying a truckload. It was just a really large load that's above what I normally get. I'm normally getting anywhere from one to five really, but on average 2 to 3 pallets in order, and probably around 5 a month, I would say. And I get them from a couple different places, and I get smaller shipments from different sources. But you know, B stock's another big one that I use. You do have to have a resale license and a business to apply for that. But basically, B stock is turning into like eBay for liquidation. All B stock is a platform where corporations can sell their products. You have like Targets on there, Walmart, BJ's, you name it, everybody's on there. And that's just a place where they sell their inventory. And a lot of the bigger name companies are putting policies in place where everything is being liquidated by corporate from their hubs and being, you know, sold that way. They're able to track the inventory a little bit better, and as opposed to letting the local stores. It used to be back in the day that different regions and different like stores had their own rights to how they liquidated the product. They would have their own vendors come and they would sell it to them that way. But now the corporations are getting more involved, and they put new policies in place that have, you know, all kinds of different restrictions and rules. So that liquidation.com. And then I'm still scanning like Craigslist just because of the one deal I found. You never know if someone posts, you know, closing, going out of business. I have a couple keywords I search for that. Facebook is another good one. You can literally type in the Facebook Marketplace, going out of business, liquidation. I like one of the biggest searches I've always used is just literally huge lot. If you type in huge lot in almost any platform, you'll probably find something. It may not be a great deal, but that's a good way to find bulk stuff. And then, as I said in our last show, just looking locally, depending on if you're near a major city, you can probably find different companies nearby that also do liquidation, and you can cold call them or email them, Facebook message them, things of that nature.
And there's two different ways too to look at liquidation, right? There's the online portion and there's the local portion. Now, someone asked about LLC or reseller certificate. Some sites do, like B Stock. And with B Stock, you're going to get all these other, you're going to get Target, you're going to get Home Depot, you're going to get all these other websites that require a reseller certificate. Yep. And then you're going to get these other sites that don't, bulk, liquidation.com, the kind of the smaller, I say smaller case lots. They do have the larger stuff you can buy, but there's two ways you can look online. There's reseller and there's non-reseller. And it's just like purchasing any other thing. Then I would definitely, as Dan said, mix it up with your local channel, right? Go on Google, type liquidation in your city name. You'll most likely get stuff around you of people that are buying large truckloads that you can buy pallets off of or packages off of. Go to Facebook. I know within Columbus, there are a couple of Facebook groups of these companies that strictly buy pallets, and they put posts out there and say, hey, we're going to get a .com truckload on Thursday. We have 10 pallets, and they sell them like crazy. So look on Facebook locally where to buy those pallets, because local does well, because you don't, there's no shipping there. You go pick it up, put it on your car, your truck, offload it off a pallet in your car, and you're good to go. So those are kind of different ways to look at how to get your liquidation items.
Yep. And the one thing I do like about liquidation.com, though it's got a bad rap, like me and you both buy from Amazon returns. Basically, Amazon is selling by the truckload. Anytime you see anything smaller than that, you're not buying directly from Amazon. That they're unloading so much inventory you couldn't even imagine. So for every 10 trucks coming in, there's one going out of liquidation items. And what liquidation.com is doing, as Chris has explained before, is they're taking that huge load of stuff and breaking it down into smaller lots that resellers can handle, especially someone like myself that's an at-home business. You know, someone asked earlier in the chat if I ever do truckloads. I typically don't. I don't really. I kind of X those out in my search. I'm mostly looking for pallets, because that's like the next level. So once you get past the single box lots, if you can get up to pallet speed, or not pallet speed, but the pallet level, you'll start to get a reduction in what you're paying for the product.
And what would you say? The thing I want to call out too is people say if you go on Facebook and you see liquidation sponsored posts, you get all these people that say liquidation is a terrible site, I lost money. You have to understand that liquidation is just like eBay, liquidation.com. You have third-party sellers that come in there and they sell their merchandise, versus stuff that comes direct from liquidation.com. If you have a question of what comes direct versus what's a third-party seller, please reach out to Dan or myself and we can help you with that. I personally, this is my personal preference, I only trust source from Amazon, which is direct, Amazon stuff direct from liquidation. There are other sellers that go direct with the liquidation.com. There are others that are not direct with liquidation.com. So be wary of who you're buying from. Do your research and see where that product is coming from.
Yeah.
I had something else I was going to say. I forgot. What site is the best liquidation site? It's personal preference. Crush it. I mean, Dan, what would you say in terms of? And I say this tongue in cheek, throwing money away, right? When you're buying liquidation, you want to look at condition. You have shelf pulls, returns, salvage, new old stock. Look at your condition. You want to be able to gauge if this is a complete risk. I'm taking my $500 and I'm going to throw it over here. If I lose money, it's gone, or I'm going to make a ton of money, versus I'm going to put 500, make my money back, or I'm going to get $100 off my 500. There's certain gauges that I look at when I'm buying stuff to say, I'm going to make money, or this is a total 100% risk.
Yeah, normally with liquidation.com, the lots I've ever bought, I'm either doubled or 3 or 4 times my investment. When I've bought through Amazon returns, I have bought other lots off of liquidation.com to try other vendors and didn't have as much success. So that's why I've kind of what you'll find is you'll grow comfortable with a couple of different sites or a couple of different sellers. And then hopefully they'll supply you enough that you can, keep busy. And if when they don't is when you really start going, looking outside the box. And then you should always have some regular searches that you're always doing for your local area. And you don't necessarily have to just search your local area. You can reach out to businesses that are nationwide, but may also have a local hub. Or also nowadays, there's a lot of big online wholesalers, whether they're Amazon wholesaler or they have their own website. Anyone who sells merchandise has an issue for, it's basically called reverse logistics or liquidation. They have to figure out a way to get rid of this product without putting it all in the landfill. And their preference would be to sell it, recoup some of their investment, and then keep that from happening and help kind of upcycle their losses.
That's the fun part, right? You can start making deals, finding stuff you normally not think about selling.
The other couple of things you mentioned, like the shelf pulls and returns and old stock. You also, with Amazon, I could tell, I like to look at lots that have a lot of the same item, multiples, 10, 15 of the same thing. Because most likely when that happens, they're all new. Not always, but a lot of times. And you also have to remember Amazon is people are suspended, people who are delinquent with their bills. They didn't know what they were getting into. They've sent in items that they got restricted on and never pulled it out. So all of that stuff is being sent to be destroyed, which means be liquidated. So you also have a lot of that product that's going through liquidation.com.
Yeah, the suspended part. I think I purchased something off eBay. I routinely flip from eBay to Amazon FBA, and I think someone was liquidating their electronics because they sent me 6 of the same item, all with the FN SKU on it.
Yep. And they will let you fulfill it. They will let you sell it on another marketplace and still fulfill it or pull your inventory. But a lot of times people are holding out in hopes they'll get reinstated and they move on, they close their business down. Or it's, just items that are unfulfillable that they never go in and pull in time. Because now they have very strict timelines on when you have to request your items that are unfulfillable back.
Right. So I think we hit on shipping. We hit on what to look for, manifested, unmanifested. What else are we missing?
Going back, I do think that the categories, it's pretty important to, stick with what you like, because I've always enjoyed this. It's kind of been, I wouldn't necessarily say it's kind of fun to open it up, and it's like your own kind of mystery box thing. So I know a lot of people are doing that on YouTube, and that's growing and getting a lot of people into liquidation. So hopefully we're getting a lot of newbies here that are seeing that and like, wow, I want to, learn about this and start making some extra money. The thing I would still go back to saying is what are you good at? What do you know? Are you a mom with a couple kids? Then you probably know a lot about, baby. You can start looking in the baby category. Do you enjoy clothing? Are you more of a fashion person? You might want to start with clothing, stuff like that. Electronics is another obviously good one, but you'll get yourself in less trouble if you start with something you're already knowledgeable about. But at some point, you're going to have to be a jack of all trades and know a little bit about everything.
And just like thrifting, you get to learn how to clean things, how to fix things. If you're buying the same lots, you'll get to part things together. So if I am continuously buying electronics lots, and let's say I always get this controller and I'm missing this joystick, right? If you're savvy enough and you want to put the work in, you can replace that with another one you get, fix it, and sell it as used, right? Or refurbished, that you went and fixed it. You can part things together. You can save. Like I used to get, there was a cell phone thing that people mounted on their dashboard, and I forget what it was called. It was in a green and white box. But I used to get a ton of them, and they'd be missing sticky pieces on some. They'd be missing phone holders on the other. And I'd lot them together, and then I get multiple lots, and I would be able to Frankenstein a brand new one. So you start to learn how to fix things. I learned how to solder because of it. I learned how to do all these things with liquidation or with electronics.
Bundling's big. A lot of cheaper items you get a lot of. You can save them until you get multiples of the same thing. So, whatever it may be, if it's a $5 or $6 item, it's probably not worth selling online. or an eBay. But if you had 3 of them, you know, if you knew that in another box, or you looked at another box that had some coming, you could lot them together and sell them for maybe like 15 or 20 bucks. I try to keep my average sale price of like 20 bucks or higher on eBay. Definitely, like first class, I'll go down as low as like 12. Right now I have some stuff cheaper than that, but that's just from a few years back. But I'd rather now take like 2 $12 items and sell them for 20 bucks instead of, you know, $12 a piece, 2 for 20. So just to try to get up a higher average sale and unload product faster. The other thing you got to consider is photos. You're obviously going to have to list all this stuff. I don't think the main point of this show is going to be a ton about like the teachings of eBay. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, is like how to list and all that. We're thinking more of like, you've already got an idea of, you've probably sold 100 or more items on eBay. We'll give you tips and pointers on how to ship and things you can think about when you're listing or photographing, but probably not a whole lot on walking through exactly how to list an item. But with like photos, I just use an iPhone 7. You can use a 6, even a 5 is fine. Or I have the Google Pixel as well. It takes pretty good pictures. I'm not sure how you photograph. I know you do yours on your floor. I use a white background. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is it helps better for Google search. Google is less likely to show your listing down the road through their shopping if you don't have a white background.
Yeah, that's why I heard the white background is what they're looking for.
Yeah, and then I actually used Amazon's photo app for my eBay photos.
What app's that?
The Photo Studio. It's through your seller app.
Really? All right, I gotta look that. I don't know that was there.
It only works on a white background, but it automatically removes any shading. It brightens up the. It's like if you have a product that you want to sell on Amazon, you want to start a new listing. It's made for Amazon photos.
Oh, so, wow!
Crisp white background. You just need like a decent bright light, and I mean, I don't have one of those photo booths or anything like that. I'm just doing it on what's like a piece of white vinyl is what I take my photos on.
Right.
Well, I don't actually take the photos, but that's what they get taken on.
That's the other thing you mentioned too, about you got to figure out when you're getting these pallets and boxes of returns, what's worth your time, right? Normally half the stuff, and that's generous, half the stuff I'm selling online. It's worth my time to profit as well as shipping out. So what do you do with the other half? The other half of the stuff, you're going to be shipping, you're going to be selling locally, right? So I hold on to half my stuff and I get rid of it at a garage sale. Now I sell most of those items for between $1 and $3. So you have to think about differently of how you're going to get rid of these items. I've also taken those lower price items and put them in a box, took a picture of them and say, hey, I don't know if they're worth anything. I put them on Craigslist. This whole box is yours for 50 bucks, right? I already know I made my money on eBay on the stuff that's either broken or parted, worth a lot of money. You start thinking differently how you're going to get rid of your items to make a profit.
Yep. And even now, I'm my last video I'm working on. I showed some product that I have over at my storage unit. That's it's going back to that 22 pallets that I got. It's tons of rocket fish and Dynex small accessories. I'm just going to start unloading an entire box of that stuff for $100 plus shipping, just to get it out. I need to get past that, clear out the space, and move on. Right now I have a bunch of women's clothes, and what I had my helper working on today was, I'm not doing Poshmark yet, but I had an idea of putting bulk lots on Poshmark. So I have him using a flat rate box and filling it up till he hits just before 5 pounds. And then I'll have my lister take photographs of and describe each, quickly describe each of the items. So you might get 5, 6, 7 items, and then it'll be a flat rate per item. So it'll be like $4 per garment, and there might be 5, it might be 6. You'll be able to look at the pictures and, decide whether you want that one or move on to the next one. So a couple of things you need to be, you always got to be thinking outside the box with liquidation. My number one goal, and something I hope that everyone we're teaching down the road, is that these products don't end up in the trash. Like, yeah, you could take the $1 and $2 items and throw them away, but the whole point of this is to prevent that from happening. I'd rather box them up, price them as I go, and do a yard sale, go to the flea market, something along those lines.
Talk about a dollar sale. Anyone will buy something for $1.
Yep. And they won't buy something, they'll buy 50 of something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've had people buy entire boxes of stuff. Like, how much for the whole box? $20, take it.
Yeah, and that $20 right there, you've already made your money. $20 is all profit. People might say it's only $20, but that $20 you're going to invest in something else, and you're going to buy more of it.
Well, I've had other resellers that are kind of smaller, you know, not quite to our level yet, but they're always looking for inventory, $10, $15, $20 items that they can buy for $1 or $2 and sell on eBay. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Try to help out the community.
Someone asked about via trading. I have not purchased via trading. I've heard good things about them. Basically, what I say about that, and we'll probably have another show about this, is relationships. In this game, it's all about relationships, who you know, who has product. Even with my wholesale and closeouts, I make relationship with these people. Once they get inventory, they know what I want, and they shoot me an email, and they say, I have XYZ. And I say, great, ship it, send it, because they know it's immediate sale. So as you get to know and learn these people, put your name out there, give them business cards. That's why I go to ASD in Vegas. That's why I'm part of PS 101 group in Facebook. If you're not part of them, head over there. My group, it's all about relationships. So it's all who you know, who has what, and you know that you're getting what you say you're getting. So via trading, I've heard good things about them, but start making contacts if you don't have it yet.
Actually, yesterday I had one of my suppliers call me, let me know he was standing in his buddy's golf shop out in California, and the guy's getting ready to move to Korea, and already liquidated a bunch of the clubs and stuff, but has tons of brand new golf shoes, bags, a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff. So I'm setting up a call with him tomorrow to talk about if I can help him out and purchase in bulk. My only issue is being across the country. You know, shipping is going to hurt, so I'll have to pay a little bit less for the stuff than I normally would to cover shipping. Right.
And someone asked about $20 can get you 20 jeans on Goodwill. So that's another thing to look at. If you're only doing thrifting, think about, hey, I'm going to take $300 of my thrifting profit, invest that into liquidation, and what you can do and say, okay, if I'm going to lose $300, I'm just going to go back and I can make it again in 3 days. So you got to look at, okay, you get the diversification is where you can help either grow or support your business.
Yeah, and what I say to that is I had the same mentality before I got into liquidation. But I used to do a lot of local auctions where I go look for tools, vintage stuff. I mean, I would pretty much buy anything. And normally I'd spend less than $100 and I get a bunch of inventory. But now it's like the amount of time that it takes and the amount of time people are spending at the thrift stores and Goodwill and running around. I mean, I understand a lot of people enjoy that, but I could potentially spend $2 or $3 grand tonight or tomorrow and double my money in like a week or two. And it's literally, obviously I have help, but my time, it's less than I don't want to say a few hours, but less than a week or two's worth of work. So.
Yep. Yeah. You don't have to go anywhere, right? You just go online, get the product, it ships to your door.
You have to be willing to build like systems and managerial actions in place in order to get to that next level. But that's something I feel like I could help people with as far as a VA. I have 4 part-time helpers that, I mean, they're very part-time. I'm talking combined, they all work combined less than 20 or 30 hours a week. So it's not even the same amount as a full-time employee.
Yep.
And they just text me when they can and can't work.
And I'm probably right on the cusp. I probably have 2 people I'm looking at doing through InkFrog. So coming on the next show is talking about going through the journey of getting VAs and other people to help you. And someone asked, what's the right time? That's all in your business model, right? Understanding the profit and loss of where you can support that. You got to look
I would say the right time for me was when my time was more valuable than what I could pay somebody to do the task for. So my main lister has been with me for 2.5 years now. She started at 10. She's up to like 12, 50, $13 an hour, I guess. And the time that I was spending doing listings and photograph I could be doing other things, looking for inventory, managing the business, putting other systems in place. So that's the biggest thing for me is like, if I can overall for working hour for my business on average make $100 an hour, but I'm only paying out 15 or 20. The cost of goods is around a third. I can net $40 or so without doing anything, as long as I get the inventory here.
Yeah. So now that I'm getting into both liquidation and Goodwill, my Goodwill's stacking up. So I try to think about, all right, now I have 10 bags of Goodwill sitting where I can make $30 an item, and I don't have it listed yet. What is that worth to me?
Yep. Yeah, if I showed some of my death piles, it would blow people's mind of, boxes full of North Face or Marmont or Levi's, or it's a whole another level. You'd have to go to 10 or 15 Goodwills just to find a couple of these items.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go to them for fun. Me and my wife, we enjoy thrifting. I tend to always lean more towards RA. I like going into to buy the brand new goods from department stores, but I don't get a whole lot of time to do that. But when I do have free time, I tend to do RA.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for Amazon flips normally.
Oh yeah, because when you're shipping into FBA, you're buying yourself another person at that point.
Yep. Speaking of which, I saw you had a couple of Amazon sales this week.
Yeah, I started shipping in books. It wasn't like quit your job money, but it was enough to get my shipment paid for.
Nice.
So the diversification helps definitely.
The past 2 days have been kind of slow, but still doing all right here.
Yeah.
I had 9 Amazon and 6 eBay so far today.
6 eBay, you said? 9 Amazon?
Well, I just
today?
That was today, yeah.
Nice. I have had 0 Amazon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eBay right now.
See, my VA finished up some weekend stuff that my lister did, and that got launched on Wednesday. So I had a bunch of fresh inventory hit eBay, so that helped.
You know how jealous I am when you do your Instagram post and you do your refresh?
Yeah, I don't think people understand what that is.
I see you hit it and I get super jealous. I'm like, crap.
That's how much eBay listing I do. I use Octiva. Ink Frog does the same, I believe. I just use Octiva, but my VA lists on Octiva, and I just upload from there to eBay. So my listing process is literally I select all in one click and then hit post. And meanwhile, I have the total, so I know what to expect coming inbound to eBay. But a lot of times I'll videotape because it's pretty funny to watch it go up by like $3,000 or $5,000. And it was just 46 listings this past time, but that was $2,200 worth of inventory.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, right? Because you had someone else being able to post while you're searching for liquidation, right? Yeah. So they're doing the work while you're making money also, which is where, and someone asked when you should do that. You're valuing your time over finding more stuff where someone else has already taken the stuff you acquired and getting it out there for sale.
Yep.
So, all right. What's one liquidation item you had? One liquidated item you sold this week, and every week we'll have kind of the same things we'll talk about, but this topic might change. What's one liquidation item you sold this week? The best. Say.
The best one I had was 2 days ago. It's kind of an interesting sale. It wasn't a liquidation. It was a clearance RA thing. Do you guys have Gabriel Brothers out there?
No.
I think it's more of an East Coast thing. They might be semi-nationwide, but they're just like a discount, like a TJ Maxx or a Ross or something along those lines. They kind of deal with liquidated items. But they had 5 brand new Spider Coaches ski jackets from the U.S. ski team. And the retail on the tag was $3.99. And they had them marked down there for $100 a few weeks. Well, it's been probably 2 or 3 months ago. I already sold 2, but I did just sell another one yesterday to an overseas buyer. I'm asking $250 a piece. I paid $100 a piece, and I have best offer. They offered me $200. I accepted. They paid right away, and then they messaged me if I could hold the item for a week to 10 days after they paid. And but it's legit. They said they're on vacation until the 15th of March, so they were hoping I could ship it like the end of next week. So if I get it, I'm going to get a ding for a late shipment, but eBay will pull that if you have record that they message you asking you to hold that shipment. Some people would say you could cancel the order and just have them relist it when they're ready to buy it. But I already have that big sale. I have the money in my account. I don't want to risk potentially losing that sale. And the person has like 500 feedback from overseas, 100%. I don't have any issues with that. So that was a good sale, but I'm holding on to that one for another week. What about you?
You beat me to it on the them removing it based on you had it in the message for the ding.
Oh, and another tip that I've had when I've lost for my shipping rate above 2% or whatever it is that if the person that you have a ding for has left you positive feedback and left you either 4 or 5 stars or above for shipping time, then you can get that removed. So if you ever have an issue where you're losing top rated seller because of your shipping speed, what I've done is you download the reports and figure out which sales they were. And then I create a template to email those buyers and say, hey, I noticed you didn't leave feedback. I hope you're happy with the order and enjoying the item. Would you please consider leaving feedback and put the link in? And normally, if you can just get a couple of those people to leave positive feedback, it'll put your criteria above, but you still need to call back and get them to, you need to call back with the item number and say, this is a late shipment, but I got positive feedback, and they'll wipe that off your record.
Yeah, exactly. They'll take care of you for that.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to cheat. Well, cheat after I tell you this one, but this is a bolo for liquidation. I sold Astro Gaming headset. It's an A40, and they have different types of this, but it comes with a mixer. See right there, that right in the middle is a mixer.
Yep.
It comes with the actual headset. I tested the headset. I tested everything working. Actually, I had my 5% off sale. Sold it for $180.
Nice.
That was a great sale in terms of the lot. I think I'm still down, I think like $80. I should be able to make it, but so that was a good one. And we talk about different little items, things that you don't think you'll sell. And granted, it's winter and it's snowing right now. I sold a pair of shorts, swim trunks I've never heard of before. They're Magic swim trunks, MAAGIC. I sold those for $28. That was from liquidation. And then I sold a small pet fleece. Sold that for $31 just today.
Nice.
So you get the most random things in liquidation stuff. Now, you take liquidation to the next level and you say, okay, I know that sold within 3 days. So my pet coats are probably a good thing to look at. When you go to ASD or you start talking to suppliers, how can I get more of those and make more money on it and get around liquidation and get them brand new?
Yeah,
So
I've always done.
We can kind of talk about that. Sorry, Dan.
No, I was gonna say I've always done really well with pet accessories, especially some of the name brand stuff, the jackets. I can't remember the one brand I was getting, but I was literally buying them online arbitrage 4 or 5 years ago when I was ramping up. But paying like $20 a piece and selling them for between 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Teeny Mates, the NFL collector items? It's like the little miniature.
Yeah, I've sold one. It was an Ohio State one.
Dude, I got Dick's Sporting Goods. I know you know what that is. They had some on clearance. It was about 2 months ago, and I ended up getting them for 93. They were 99% off. I got them for 93 cents a piece, and I got 20 boxes. One box was damaged, but I don't know if you guys can see that. Is that coming through?
Yep.
So where's the top at? Long story short, within 30 days, I sold all 19 of them on Amazon for $59.99. And I paid each. So another bolo is the NFL Teeny Mates. Look them up. I had the quarterback edition, which was 14 quarterbacks. And I don't know if Tom Brady was in there, so I don't know if it was a Super Bowl thing or Patriots and collectors were looking for it or not. But really low ranking and really high value. And like I said, I bought them right at a sporting goods store for less than $1. But I thought that was pretty cool. That's all. That's been happening over the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
it's like $1,200 in sales on a $20 investment.
That's awesome.
But that's that doesn't happen often.
No.
But still cool to talk about. What about I know another topic we have for the weekly show is incoming orders or inventory. You still are working on the shoe delivery, right? When's that coming?
I need to call back. They gave me a shipment number, but I go to track, it's not there. I got to call the local place. So I need the tracking number. They picked it up Monday from Vegas, LTL. Probably should take a couple days. So I got to call back tomorrow.
There's been a bunch of mixed weather across the country too that I know affects stuff. Because my shoe lot that I have coming will probably be here next week. I was expecting them to call me today, and I was hoping to get it tomorrow. But it's looking like we have some snow coming in tonight. Not much, an inch or two. But then I'll probably get it on Tuesday. And I want to start doing more like unboxings on my YouTube channel and kind of showing people as I go through the stuff, what I do, what I look for, and that type of thing. And then I also have that box of high-end stuff. That was shipped out yesterday, and that's only coming from New Jersey, so I should have that tomorrow.
Okay. I'd love to see what you get.
Other thing I got was a little GoPro. So try to up my channel a little bit as I go. Kind of still a rookie at it, so I appreciate you guys' feedback about different volume settings and this and that. Like I said, I'm not a video guy.
Videographer. Yeah. For those of you that just joined, if you're not subbed to Dan's channel, it's the first link down below. We're going to go cross channels, so make sure you sub to his channel as well. All right. Anything? We'll close it out here. Going on an hour. Any last word?
Was there any other last minute questions we didn't cover? I think I saw one about the VA. As I said before, I use Upwork, and what I did was I searched candidates based on using Optiva, or you could use InkFrog as well. And I looked for people with high experience and high number of income and revenue from you. Like there's people out there that's all they do is they're virtual assistants for eBay, Amazon, you name it. So that's how I found mine. I basically went back and forth with 3 different candidates, and it looked to me like 2 of them were kind of a company that have people that they are underneath them. I felt like I was speaking to like a manager and not an actual person. So I was a little bit worried about kind of being stuck in a queue with a lot of other sellers that are getting items listed and having a different person every week. I was able to find an individual, and then I actually was able to find her on Facebook and communicate with her there, confirmed who it was, and that's kind of how I go. And she gets $5.50 an hour.
There you go.
So, and I do give her bonuses and stuff like $20 here, $50 here. I give her like 50 for the holidays. With that overseas, that's a lot of money for some people. So,
yeah.
Closing words. I mean, just like we said, for the beginners, check out liquidation.com, sourced by Amazon. That's probably going to be your best bet. Start trying to find a local connection if you can, because that's going to be your highest potential return normally. And a lot of times you'll be able to go look at the product and make a decision on site. And just kind of follow along. And if anyone has any show topics they want us to cover, put them down in the description, and we'll keep an eye on that. We have a couple of them already in the queue, and we're like Chris said, we'll do this every Thursday night as long as people are enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree. So stay tuned to both our channels. Dan's down below. Liquidation's fun. You get a box, you don't know what's in it. That's a lot of work. You're not just going to buy stuff and get brand new. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about everything from shipping, again, how to source, how to find things that you like, how to make connections, relationships, VAs. But definitely stay tuned, and we'll get all that stuff for you. So we'll talk to you next Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern. And see you later.
See you guys.